Cliff Richard, now 85, has become a living legend in the world of music, known not only for his iconic songs but also for a life that defied the typical expectations of fame. Despite the adoration of millions and a career that spanned over 6 decades, one question has always lingered. Why did Cliff, the man who sang so beautifully about love, never marry? For years, fans and the media speculated about his love life, but now, Cliff himself is finally sharing his story. Behind the melodies and the fame, he reveals a man torn between his calling and his personal desires. A man who chose a path that many still find difficult to understand. A rising star in a changing Britain. Cliff Richard's rise to fame in the late 1950s was a product of a rapidly changing Britain, still reeling from the aftermath of the war. Born Harry Webb, he was just 18 years old when he became the new face of British pop music. Overnight, the shy young man from Hertfordshire transformed into a heartthrob whose voice captured the spirit of a generation. His debut hit, Move It, became an anthem for youth and rebellion. And he was soon at the center of a pop culture revolution. As his fame skyrocketed, he struggled to balance the demands of superstardom with the normal life he had once known. The world saw a confident, charismatic performer, but Cliff felt the weight of expectations and the pressure to maintain a clean, safe public image. The burden of fame and control. From the very start, Cliff Richard was thrust into the spotlight with little time to adjust. He quickly learned that fame required constant vigilance. In an era where rock and roll was seen as both rebellious and dangerous, Cliff was groomed to be the perfect star. Clean-cut, charming, and safe. He was expected to be a role model, and he took this responsibility seriously. Every interview, every performance was carefully measured. While other stars chased attention, Cliff guarded his privacy fiercely, knowing that fame came with a price. His self-discipline became his shield, allowing him to survive the chaos of his career without losing himself. But in doing so, he also built walls, keeping the world at arm's length. Success, sacrifice, and loneliness. As Cliff's success grew, so did the isolation he felt. While his career flourished with chart-topping hits and sold-out concerts, the cost of fame became more apparent. The man who had once dreamed of love songs now found himself singing them, but never fully experiencing the love they spoke of. Success had given him everything the world could see: acclaim, wealth, and admiration. But it had also taken away something essential: the ability to form intimate connections. He had experienced affection and tenderness, but always from a distance. Cliff realized that he had become so consumed by his career that personal relationships seemed almost like a luxury he couldn't afford. The complexities of love and privacy. Behind the scenes, fans and the press became obsessed with Cliff Richard's private life. They wanted to know who he was dating, if there was a woman behind the songs that made them swoon. Yet, while the world clamored for answers, Cliff was grappling with something far deeper. He had experienced relationships, including his first serious romance with Delia Wicks, a dancer who loved him long before he became a star. Their relationship held promise, but Cliff was already too deep into the whirlwind of fame. Despite their dreams of a life together, the demands of his career kept pulling him away. Delia's goodbye letter to him after their breakup was a painful reminder of the emotional toll fame had taken on his personal life. The price of commitment, choosing a life of service. Cliff Richard often spoke about marriage, but not in the traditional sense. To him, it wasn't simply about companionship. It was about a sacred commitment that should never be taken lightly. He recognized that the life of a touring artist, constantly on the road, would be unfair to a partner. He could not divide himself between his music, his faith, and a personal relationship without losing a part of himself. He chose to remain single, not out of fear, but because he believed that his calling came first. He once said, "It just never felt right. Maybe it was never meant for me," reflecting a quiet acceptance of his path, one that was defined by discipline, devotion, and the refusal to compromise. a deep and enduring friendship. While Cliff Richard never married, he did form one of the most profound relationships of his life in the 1970s. This was not a romantic relationship, but a deep, enduring friendship with a woman who understood him without needing to change him. Their bond, grounded in shared values of faith and privacy, became a source of stability for Cliff. Over the years, this woman became his emotional anchor, offering support, understanding, and kindness in a world full of noise and speculation. Despite their undeniable chemistry on stage, Cliff always made it clear that their connection was not about romance, but about genuine affection and respect. Their friendship, though not rooted in marriage, became one of the most significant relationships in Cliff's life: loneliness and reflection. As the years passed, Cliff's dedication to his faith and music left him with little room for the kind of love and companionship that many of his peers enjoyed. Despite the public's curiosity and the media's relentless speculations, Cliff remained steadfast in his choice to live a life of solitude, defined not by what he lacked, but by what he had chosen. He never regretted his decision to remain unmarried, but that did not mean he was immune to moments of loneliness. There were times when he watched friends settle into family life and wondered if he had made the right choice, but his faith, his music, and his commitment to serving others provided him with a deep sense of fulfillment. The pressure of fame and the need for privacy. As Cliff's fame grew, so did the public's fascination with his personal life. The tabloids, starved for answers, would often speculate about his relationships, filling in the blanks with assumptions and rumors. Every friendship he had, every interaction with a woman, was scrutinized and misinterpreted. Cliff never fought back with anger or bitterness. Instead, he responded with grace, refusing to give in to the pressure of fame. He understood that fame breeds speculation, and rather than trying to control the narrative, he chose to remain silent. His silence, however, only fueled the rumors. But Cliff never let it shake him. He chose dignity over drama, and his quiet strength became his shield against the world's constant curiosity, finding fulfillment in service and community. While Cliff Richard never married, he was far from isolated. He created a chosen family of friends, mentors, and faith communities that supported and nurtured him throughout his life. He surrounded himself with people who understood his values and respected his need for privacy. His home became a gathering place for those in need of guidance, laughter, or simply peace from the outside world. Cliff was known for his generosity, kindness, and warmth, qualities that never made headlines but were the foundation of his relationships. He built a life not based on romance, but on loyalty, service, and faith. A life of peace and gratitude. As Cliff Richard looks back on his extraordinary life, he reflects with quiet gratitude. He may not have the conventional story that many expected, but his path has been one of purpose, service, and unwavering faith. He never married, but he never lacked love. His friendships, his faith, and his dedication to his music provided him with a sense of fulfillment that others may seek in marriage, but which he found in a life lived true to his calling. At 85, Cliff remains an icon in the music industry, a man who has remained true to himself despite the pressures of fame. His story is not one of loneliness, but one of clarity and purpose. He chose a path that few could understand and fewer could follow, but it is one that has brought him peace, fulfillment, and an enduring legacy.